Knott Avenue Christian Church, or KACC, began December the 9th, 1956 at this location. When members of Long Beach First Christian Church believed that it was time to plant a church and spread the gospel to Orange County, California, a fast-growing community of young people. Hello, my name is John Eng, Knott Avenue Christian Church, Historical Archives, 1956 to 2016.
And I'm Eric Freeman, the other half of this project. A lot has changed since 22 people met here in a small farmhouse almost 60 years ago. The one thing that hasn't changed, though, is the church's belief that the inerrant Word of God can be found in the Holy Bible even today. So let's go inside and see what's been going on.
We've a story to tell to the nation.
To the nation.
That shall turn their hearts to the right.
Turn their hearts to the right. A story of truth and mercy. A story of peace and light. A story of peace and light. Peace and light.
For the darkness shall turn to dawning, and the dawning to noonday bright, and Christ's kingdom shall come to earth. The kingdom of love, love and light.
There was an explosion of serving opportunities, from greeting at the church to youth Christian ministries and camps. Music ministries were on the rise, from singing in the church choir to small singing and instrumental groups that performed at KACC and at other churches. Carl and Lorraine Dupre came to KACC between 1973 and 1974. They worked with the junior high children and started the Real Thing Youth Ministry. In later years, Carl worked with Lauren Hancock in Young at Heart, while Lorraine organized women's circles into the women's ministry.
When you joined the church in the 70s, did you start serving? You and your husband both started serving?
Well,
or
junior high, right off the bat. We did the junior high. We had this goal to take kids to camp. His goal was 75 and 75, 76 and 76, and so forth, and we always met our goal. So we had a group of 75 junior high kids that we took to Angels Crest Christian Camp. We also took them on the old church bus, along with Don and Betsy Slauson, who are our co-leaders. We took them up to Sequoia, and we cooked for a group of about 70, 80 people over 3 flat rocks, and just have our own Knott Avenue Christian summer camp up there. Don was one of the teachers. We had a really good program that with lessons for the kids and hiking and all those kinds of things. So we did that for a number of years. And then we, while still serving with the junior high, Carl was the bus driver for the Young at Heart and kind of Lauren Hancock's right-hand man. They sort of did that together. We probably did that for 10 years or so. That's what we call it.
Oh, tell me more about the Real Thing.
Real Thing was the name of our junior high group. And it was, I think it was a slogan from something off of television at the time, but it was a name that just kind of stuck with the group. And our meetings were we meet on Wednesday nights. It's another thing my husband took on himself. He was the babysitter for the choir. The choir met every Wednesday night, and they would practice for an hour and a half. So Carl and I would babysit all the kids of the choir members, and he'd march them in a 2x2, like ducks in a row, down to Thrifty Drugstore and buy them all ice cream cones. So they knew that was coming, and they loved to come to choir practice because they knew they were going to get an ice cream cone.
Joe and Carrie Vaughn came to KACC in 1969. Both served as high school sponsors and teachers at KACC. With the high school students, they visited other churches and gave singing performances. Carrie served in women's circles, later called the Women's Ministry. Joe was involved with church facility maintenance and repairs. often work was done by church volunteers. Work ranged from groundskeeping to high-volume air conditioning repair. He also served in the shepherding committee as deacon, serving communion to those unable to come to church, and connecting with members.
Well, as I recall, Rich had a very warm personality. He was young. He was a young man. He was the youth minister, actually, the high school minister. When Carrie and I first came under Mac Wright, and became Mac Wright's replacement as the senior minister. The dynamics as far as Rich's ministry on myself is there was a lot of serving during that time. We were responsible, Nick Nichols and myself, we served on the building committee that actually was part of the design and construction of the education building. And during those years, I was much younger then, and was in the electrical construction industry and had a truck and just worked many hours at the church. We didn't pay to have anything done. The men of the church took care of everything, and that's what I remember most about Rich's.
Jerry, Joe was a very busy man. He's coming home from work and then go to church and do the building work, on the education building and all that. And you had a family to raise. How did you cope with those hours that Joe wasn't at home because he was working at the church?
I took over the kids. Yeah, he was there almost every single night, especially when they were building the education building. And like he said, at that time the work was mostly done by members of the church.
But you had a lot of faith, huh?
A lot, yes. And a lot of, yeah. But then too, at that time, the women were doing a lot too. They had the women's circles, and we took care of the communion and the nursery, cleaning that, and just a lot of things.
During the charismatic movement, there was a rapid growth in the music ministries. There were many separate music groups that performed at KACC, and they even were invited to other churches to perform. Examples of some of these groups were the Messengers Quartet and the high school choir. The children of Lauren and Eunice Hancock, who were Donna, Lorene, Dorothy, and Norm, formed the Four Hancocks and often got together and sang at churches. A friend of the family allowed them to make a recording of their songs at Capitol Records. Listen to a sample.
My hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. I dare not trust the sweetest frame, but wholly lean on Jesus' name. On Christ the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand. All other ground is sinking sand.
Did you know that the famous pepper tree is older than KACC? Some say it's about 100 years old.
The pepper tree seemed to be right behind the old house, Mrs. Llewellyn's house, and it was there forever.
Was it a huge tree then?
It was pretty big, not like it is now. I suppose it's been a while since I've seen it, but it was a nice sized tree then.
Real quick question. Even when you were there, did they was still a lot of activities centered around that pepper tree then? Or it was just sitting there?
No.
Okay.
It was just a tree in the backyard. That's all it was.
Just an old pepper tree in the backyard? Better ask the children.
The pepper tree is that whenever all of the adults were inside the sanctuary, all of the kids would go outside and we would play underneath that tree. We would tell stories. Sometimes we would be singing, and bringing our friends, and that's where we kind of hung out because there was no Sunday school rooms yet at that point. We were very little. And so that was kind of like our hanging out place. And it was big, from my perspective, it was big then.
Yeah. So. And you are?
I am Cindy Shin. I was born at Brandreth, Lorene Brandreth's third daughter.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved